But let's move on to open sourced and talk to you, Dana, about covering what very well might be the last Apple event we're invited to.
Like I said, I just purchased 4 of their watches.
Except there will probably be one next month about MacBooks, so I've got to.
Hopefully they don't listen to this podcast before then.
Also, how many of us are using Apple devices right now? I mean, let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, also to be clear though, mine's
corporate
company
laptops.
issued.
I've got a MacBook and a very striking Apple Watch 10.
That is a very striking Apple Watch 10.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, as watch hands go, that's pretty impressive.
Pretty high contrast.
Mm-hmm. You were a pale human.
Mm-hmm. So were you.
Yes, true.
She was.
Was a pale human.
Yeah.
So tell me, but also tell our readers a little bit about what it was like on the ground yesterday.
Don't tell Trout, though.
I will never be invited to an Apple event, most likely. I have never covered one before. I probably never will. So I'm kind of interested to know what it's like on the ground, just because, I mean, I have experience being at CES and doing these things, but I understand Apple's a little bit different.
It is as much an athletic endeavor as it is an intellectual one. It really is like being a different analogy. It's like being a contestant on a really sadistic game show.
Like full contact supermarket sweep?
Yes, exactly. Like
Japanese,
supermarket sweep.
One of those Japanese, murder games.
Well, like a prank show.
Murder games?
Right.
It feels like a prank show.
Most extreme challenge.
Yeah. So here's a day in the life. And yesterday actually was not the worst I've had. It went fairly smoothly as far as Apple events go. If you are a reporter, you line up, I would say around 7:30. Some people get there even earlier. But the thing is, that initial line outside the venue is just to claim your badge that lets you inside. Once you're inside, you get breakfast. That's one thing Apple is really good at, is giving finger-friendly foods to the reporters.
It's nice of them to feed you after making you stand outside all day.
And by the way, can we mention, you get there at 7:30, the event doesn't actually start for another 2.5 hours.
So here's what happens. At about 8 a.m., you're let into the building, at which point you get your really, really tasty breakfast sliders. Chris, I don't know what he was eating. It was some sort of cone filled with breakfast sludge.
And we were talking about Chris
good.
Velasco, by the way.
Oh, that does not sound good. How does that even look good?
He said it was good.
Breakfast sludge in a cup.
To be fair, this comes from the woman who gets angry when I don't give her half my bagel.
True.
So basically anything looks good.
There were mini quiches. Those were really tasty.
What flavor?
Something with
cheese and bacon or something?
Yeah, there was another one.
Maybe spinach.
They tasted good. The flavor was good.
And well-seasoned quiches.
So you have that, like an athletic event. I mean, so if you're with marathoners, you have all my runner friends are turning to each other before the race, and they're like, "Did you poop? Did you poop? Did you poop?" And here it's like, "Oh, did you get your bathroom break in? Did you pee?" Because for the next 2.5 hours or 3 hours, there is no bathroom. There is no bathroom break.
So the discussion is around urinating, not defecating.
Yes. We're a civilized bunch.
Right.
But
journalists don't shit.
No.
No fecal matter involved.
So yeah, you're bracing yourself like for an athletic event. You need some sustenance. You need to pee before it all happens. And then so what happens is you're in the venue and you're let in around 8 a.m. and they open the doors to the auditorium around 9. So you've got about an hour to schmooze and talk to your fellow journalists. And this is actually sincerely one of my favorite parts of every Apple event. Yes, these are our competitors, but they're all nice people, and you really remember that.
Not all of them.
99%.
Most of them.
You know who you are. Nice people, and they're in the same boat. Tons of commiserating. We are all bracing ourselves for a long day. We're expecting some things to go wrong.
Collective suffering bonds people together.
Yeah, so we're bonding, and what's also happening is there are multiple doors to the auditorium, and Apple, their on-site staff never tells you which door is going to open, letting you into the auditorium.
That is so sadistic.
I know, man.
Yeah, but
Google
it's
does
kind
the
of
same
like
thing at Iowa, by the way.
I
It's
don't
really
stress about it
irritating.
anymore. It's like an episode of Star Trek where everything always ends up okay at the end. What is that thing that
Happy ending.
what is the
That's something else.
the thing
Very
the
different.
thing that happens at the end of a Star Trek episode that always works and saves the day?
We're at the tricorder.
Something.
I don't know what you're talking talking about.
Scotty.
Yeah, so
Scotty
Tea,
always
Earl
wants
Grey,
to
hot.
save the day.
the thing that ends with him saying, "Mr. Spock, it just might work."
I don't know.
Did I just out nerd all of you? Jesus.
I don't know, dude. I don't watch OG Star Trek.
Yeah.
I'm anti
Shatner.
Shatner after our little Twitter episode.
Oh,
of
I'm
it.
pro Shatner because come on, y'all, that's hilarious.
It's
Anyway.
pretty hilarious. And I mean, and he did record the Transformed Man. I'm just gonna say it. Like,
What is that?
Which is that's fair, but still.
his album?
He also did those Priceline negotiator commercials.
All of which is to say, I don't stress about the auditorium doors anymore.
So what happens when they finally
Violence
unleash the
happens.
beast?
Yeah. Release the hounds.
Oh, so I skipped the part where we all sort of figure out collectively which door is going to open. I don't know who figures it out first, but when we're all...
How do you figure it out, though?
It's a weird crowd mentality where it's like... I don't know, like TechCrunch, SlashGear, and Verge, and all these people are all lined up. They must be onto something. So we're all kind of feeding off each other, and it's this group herding mentality where we all kind of just coalesce around the same door, and that always happens to be the right door. And
They've got to know something.
Somebody's getting tipped off. It's that Gurman.
No, he's not even allowed.
He
dude. Are
was
you
there
kidding?
yesterday.
Oh, he was. Oh, now that he's at Bloomberg, he's legit.
He's legit
I guess,
now.
to them. Okay.
Yeah. So we're all coalesced around the same door, and for a while it's pretty loose and relaxed. People are doing their peeing, they're doing their eating, not necessarily in that order.
Are they're doing their peeing at the door?
Or hopefully simultaneously.
They don't shit where they eat, but they definitely urinate
But
there.
the minutes tick by and you get closer to 9 a.m., people start elbowing their way toward the door. It gets really packed, and everyone's wearing their gear backpacks because you need to carry a lot of stuff with you to cover this event. You've got a backpack with your laptop, your big heavy-duty camera, all your cables, and whatnot. And so it's not just a mosh pit of jostling, but it's a mosh pit with backpacks.
Is everybody wearing backpacks?
Most people.
That sounds like a nightmare.
And you've got the broadcast crews who've got their like weapon-like monopods and tripods.
Like both staffs. clearing
Yeah, I
the
mean
way.
stuff with which you could give someone a concussion if necessary. And so we're all in this mosh pit, and I don't like being jostled. I get cranky each time. I actually put on Twitter this aerial shot of what the crowds look like, and maybe now you can understand why I get both a little aggressive and a little loopy on Twitter leading up to these events. It's just either you get angry or you get slap happy. There's no other choice.
Either way, you're going to kick somebody's ass.
Yeah, and so they open the doors, and Chris and I always had some sort of strategy that always falls apart. It's like, are you going to be the lead this time? No, Dana, you be the lead, because you're the runner. You're the fast runner. So they open the doors, and all the jostling and the elbowing starts, and people who otherwise you think are very nice might elbow you a bit. I got elbowed yesterday
Who's the worst offender?
by
Name names. Not even like publications. I want to know people's names.
no comment.
Then name the publications, and then we'll know who it is. I'll call them out as soon as
So
I can figure
I don't know if there's one particular elbower. There are a couple known line jumpers who don't even necessarily arrive as early as everyone else, but weasel their way to the front of the line. Still not naming names, but I know who the line jumpers are, and
I know who you are too,
Whisper
and I'm
in my ear.
shaming you. Shame.
Whisper in my ear, Dana.
but
Woman's coming for you.
so, and you have the Apple the on-site staff as the doors are opening, and they know what they're setting up. They know what they're doing, but they're like, it's like school children. So backtrack. This time, they had all of the journalists line up across the street this time from the venue, and when it was time to let us into the venue, they escorted us across the street, and we looked like preschoolers
Well, with
filing
this
into this
fucking
building
backpack.
with our backpacks.
Can I get a juice box? Were they handing out
Being
Ecto Coolers
escorted.
on your way
So
in?
the preschool tech journalists are escorted into the building, and then as the door to the auditorium opens, you have the on-site staff being like, "No running, only fast walking," and we're all like, "Fuck that."
Yeah.
So we get our seats, and this is another thing where I've learned to stress a little bit less because it always works out. Everyone is so amped up. We always get our seats. I ended up sitting next to Chris, and here's the thing: you sit down, and then you competitively look around to see where your competition is, and it's like, yeah, we're a little more centered in the auditorium than so and so. Yeah, it's going to be a
Small
good day.
Victories, yeah.
Small victories, and so we're getting settled. And this time, this is one of the things that made this a better trip for us. The Wi-Fi in the venue was actually working, and you might be thinking at home, well, of course it was working. No, it doesn't always work.
It's a rare
And
thing.
It's not even just Apple. We've gone to tech press conferences from all sorts of tech companies where they have failed to give reliable Wi-Fi. And that
Like
makes
the whole
our
of
jobs
CES.
very, very hard.
Ironically, BlackBerry had the best internet at any event I ever covered.
Yeah,
they had
actually-
hardwired with like power over. It was awesome.
You know who usually has good internet? Google, which they should.
that
They're an
stands to
internet
reason.
company.
Yeah.
they better.
But so Apple had good Wi-Fi this time. The last time, back at WWDC in June, the Wi-Fi failed, and I had to hop on the hotspot of the gentleman next to me, who I belatedly found out was one of the co-founders of Pinterest.
And handsome, right?
And handsome. Oh, I could have killed Velasco. He leaned in a stage whisper and said, "Marry him." That
So
is-
did you?
No, he's married.
Did you turn to him and make kissy faces at least?
I buried my head in shame. That is the most embarrassed I've been all year. Thanks, Chris.
That also means that Dana's still single. So for any of you,
Shut up.
A new most embarrassed for the year.
So, this time I got online myself. The internet didn't cut out. I didn't need to ask anybody to rescue me. What they didn't have were power outlets this time, which is another place where it feels sometimes like a sadistic game show. It's like, oh, your job is to work a long day, write a lot of things on a computer, but we won't give you power outlets at your seats or anywhere else in the venue.
Yeah.
but that's why y'all have all your backpacks and stuff, right? Because they're packed full of all sorts of portable chargers and whatnot.
If you're a better prepared person than me, yeah.
And there's no portable chargers unless you've got a Hypermac or something ridiculous like that. There is no portable charger for your laptops.
And that's heavy, which, that's like a
And
back-breaking.
these events are real long. Basically, you're just sitting there hoping that your
So,
MacBook Air doesn't die.
This is a new work-issued laptop, which means the battery hasn't depleted yet. So it lasted me the whole day. I didn't need to recharge, and that was fine. But in previous events, even the last one, I've been stuck with an aging laptop whose battery is really on its last legs, and that's been a problem. Yeah. I think Velasco yesterday either ran out of battery or came very close.
Yeah.
So,
Well, especially when you start processing like photos and video, man, you're cooked real quick.
yeah, so and it's not just Apple, by the way. We've been to other events from other companies who also failed to give us power outlets, and it's things the readers at home don't get.
Yeah.
But yeah, our jobs are very difficult on these days for a whole lot of reasons. So that's just the live blog portion of the day. The live blog ends, and we get to the hands-on area. Oh my God, the hands-on area.
So are you like
like a mosh pit, right?
are you ushered over to a specific device and told
Well, so there's
time with said Apple Watch?
we're directed again to the hands-on area. Again, it's all no running. There's a line, so you needed to get in there quick. And actually, I didn't realize that Chris and I were actually pretty quick to get in there. We get in, we get our hands on photos, and this time it was pretty civilized. I was able to walk right up to the Nike watch and start taking photos and play with it, have an on-site Apple person give me a demo. So again, that's another area where this year was pretty smooth, but in previous years, you go in and there's way more journalists than there are.
chaos.
Yeah, there's elbowing, and the journalists who are lucky enough to get the devices first in their hands don't let go of them. They monopolize them. They will smirk upon their competition who are unable to get hands on.
Who?
Not naming names, but
Whisper in my
again,
I've been there. It's a lot of broadcast TV people are the worst.
oh, they are.
They are
They
the
really
worst.
are.
And like the problem is Apple enables them because they don't give a shit about anybody else. Yep.
Broadcast TV, like not local.
No, I mean they prioritize national. At least when I've been.
Part of the thing with the broadcast people is that it's not just the person with the microphone. They've got their camera person with the heavy equipment that makes them physically imposing. Like if I bring you and you're my camera guy and you've got whatever the thing is, the big camera on your shoulder, you are like my bodyguard. You're like my muscle man. And if it's just me from Engadget with my Olympus camera, I'm a little outweaponed and outnumbered.
And definitely outsmarted, because we all know broadcast journalists are the brightest bulbs.
So
Are
again,
we just making it a point to start a fight with broadcast journalists at this point?
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing?
All right.
Why not?
No, man, it just irritated because they get first dibs, dude. It makes our life harder.
again, this time was pretty. It was pretty smooth, but it's been real ugly in the past. And this time, at least, there were fewer hands-ons that we needed to do. There was really just Chris took the iPhones, I took the 2 Apple Watches, and there were no other surprises.
Except
One
for
event.
Sia.
So this wasn't.
That was a surprise.
Oh
I
yeah,
know.
this wasn't an Apple event. But do you remember when Microsoft surprised everyone and announced the Surface Book at that press event?
In a 5-hour-long press event.
So that fucked up our plans that day because it was like, oh shit, someone now has to also do
Actually
that
do something.
and muscle for that too. But so anyway, yeah, there were fewer products today. I think last time we had the iPhone, but we also had the iPad Pro on the same day. And there was some sort of Apple TV news that day, and that was stressful. And so what happens is Apple shuts down the demo area after a certain period of time. So this is where it really feels like a game show and feels like supermarket sweeps. It is a timed competition. You have a certain amount of time to get in there, get your photos, get your
Go for all
Hands-on.
the steaks and
get everything you
diapers.
need and get out. Do it in a certain amount of time and get your job done. Do all the work you have to do and do it well.
Yep.
And try not to get injured in the process. So what happened last year that didn't happen this time, thankfully, is I actually got hurt at the event. So you leave the hands-on area. There aren't always, it depends on the venue, there aren't always places to sit. This time I sat down on a stairway, and that was great because I could put my butt someplace, right? There was a previous year I was just seated on the floor somewhere with my legs out in front of me, and I'm pecking away furiously. And then another journalist walks by.
Broadcast journalist, probably.
Probably. He accidentally drops his MacBook charger, of all things. It lands from a few feet, falls a few feet, lands on my shin bone.
Ooh.
Which I think that captured really perfectly what it's like to cover an Apple event.
Getting kicked in the shins.
You will work
Yep.
hard. You will be tired. You will be seated on the floor. You will not have a place to put your butt. And you will get injured, and you will get injured by an Apple product. Yes.
Sounds about right.
It's the Apple equivalent of Battle Royale.
Yeah.
But the readers at home don't care. I mean, I think you guys are very interested in what I'm saying, but at the end of the day, all you want are, and I don't blame you, what you want are, you want clean copy. You don't want us making typos. You
Yep.
want a comprehensive, informative take on what we've just seen.
Yeah.
And I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Quickly.
But that is a very difficult job
Challenging.
to achieve, to accomplish under the circumstances.
So now we know what goes into that, all of the top-notch coverage that we do, and I think we do a pretty damn good job.